going to be doing a painting in acrylic today. We're going to keep it simple. I've got my canvas laying flat on a table. I've got my water, my acrylics out, and I've got all my brushes laid out. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to end up putting some dots of blue across the sky area. And some whites. And you can see I've got a lot more white than I do the blues. And I've dampened my brush, and I've got my paper towels, and I just tap the excess water off on that. So let's get started. So I'm going to start doing almost at an angle with the whites and the blues. And I'm just kind of filling in areas. And let's get into that white a little more. And it's going to be kind of a bold looking sky. I don't want it all the same color. So I'm kind of moving around a little bit here so that I get some of the whites mixed in. So I've got lighter areas, I've got darker areas. Let's finish this corner here. And looks good. Now I'm going to leave that as it is. While I still have the painting on my brush, I'm just going to come in here and kind of catch an area there. I'm leaving some of the white of the canvas. I'm going to wash my brush. And this, you can see it's almost raised up. And when you done and it dries, you'll be able to run your hand across it and actually feel the texture. All right, my brush is cleaned. I've got it, the excess water off. I'm gonna go in and up here, 2 dots of green. I'm even gonna put a dot of alizarin right in the center. Maybe there's a glow in the sky. And of course my white. These are, paints are very thick. They are very heavy paint, so they don't run. But I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna kind of up and down, almost if there's some trees or something. And I'm actually touching some of the blue up here. I'm going to come on this side, do the same thing. Turn my hand, I'm trying to keep my hand out of here so you can see what's going on. And I'm going to kind of wipe my brush here. I'm going to clean it a little bit. I want a little bit of that alizarin right in the center. And then I want to come back in, clean that brush a little bit, and take some of the whites in there and bring some of the greens down below it. Just a little color. You can see it's more in the browns and stuff. And I'm going to come down below. I'm going to drag that color down below. All right. Clean my brush. I'm going to take a little bit of the white here and basically kind of drag that out. This is going to be a lighter area. Okay. I'm going to come, and right here I'm going to literally draw a line across. That is my horizon. And I'm just going to kind of smudge that a little bit down below that line. because these are going to end up being some type of reflections coming down off of that. So we've got reflections coming down as if they're reflections in the water. On some of these, I'm flattening my brush out, just pulling it through, getting it real sharp, flat edge. Let me get over top of the white area and see if that. And you can actually come up in here, and some of these you can kind of, just the corner, the very corner of the brush, you can actually pull things out sideways, almost as if there's some trees or something up there. But I don't want it all over. I don't want it to look like the reflections. I just want it to look like maybe there's some trees or something up in there. All right, so now we're down here. Since this is going to be some water, I'm going to add some blue. Not a lot. I want mostly white out here. Big glob of white. And I'm going to touch that and come into that white. And then I'm going to just drag that white. And I'm leaving it thick. Now water, you want to keep it straight across. It doesn't, if you go crooked, it's going to look like it's running off your canvas. And I'm going to drag that down in here. And so I'm leaving some of that dark area there. Okay, and I think I'll add a little more white down here. You add as much paint or as you think. You figure out where the little waves are. Let's fill in a little there. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to sort of right here at the top, drag a little bit of that blue up into some of those reflections and kind of go back and go across. And we can even add a little, any place there's, you missed a little bit, some blues up in there. All right, we now have our sky. We have a line of trees. We have water. Now we got to decide, what do we want over here? Do we want some brown ground? Do we want grass? I think we're going to stick with the grass. I'm going to do a dot of blue on each side. But instead of putting white, I'm going to put yellow. I can put a little bit of white right center here. We might bring the water down further, or we may bring grass in here. But I'm going to start with the yellows and work my way up into the greens and bring that up there. Work my way back down, bring that greens into here. It's almost like, see, and I'm going to pick up some of the whites in there with that yellows. Okay, I'm just going to just wiping my brush. I'm not cleaning it. I'm going to do the same thing here. Start with the yellows, but move up into the greens. On this side, you're going to see it comes out a little darker because I didn't pick up as much yellow, but that's fine. Maybe this side has a tree or something that's bringing some shadows down. You don't want it all exactly the same. We're bringing that down. There's the yellow. You can even bring some of that yellows back up. And then we're going to hit that white and brighten up. We're keeping that light basically through the center area. All right, so now we have basically a landscape. Everything is basically covered. We got trees, we got sky, we got the water. And look at it, stand back. Here, I want to straighten that line out just a little. I don't want that water to look like it's flowing down off the pipe. But you decide, you stand back. And that's always a good thing to do when you're painting. Step back for a second, look and see what you have. See if there's anything you need corrected. If there's something you don't like. And right here, right along that edge, I'm gonna bring that right to the bottom. So, and once you get that, we're good. So now we can decide. we got a basic painting. It looks great, but we need some type of interest. So I'm gonna put a drop of green up here, very small dot, little dot of yellow up here. Now I'm going to use the corner, and I haven't changed brush. I've been using this brush throughout the whole time. Haven't even changed it. It's just a flat white brush. I'm going to use the corner again. I'm going to start with the greens and go into the yellows, and this time instead of dragging it back and forth, I'm kind of hit and miss. I'm still doing that dragging back and forth, but it's kind of a hit and miss. I'm actually lifting up my brush a little bit. And so I want it to look like maybe there's a tree up here. Okay, and there we are. We got ourselves the first tree. If it's too dark, you can always pick up some white on your brush, or I picked up some white and some yellow. So I got white and yellow, and we can actually come back over and add some highlights. More on both sides, but more on the lighted side, which would be more like in the center. Okay, now let's get, and as you tap, you can see how you darken some of them bright areas down. So now we have a tree there. We do need to put a trunk in. For a trunk, I don't have Van Dyke brown or a brown on my palette, though you can certainly pick that up. I am going to mix the green and either a alizarin crimson or the bright red, either one. They both make, the green and the reds make a great brown. Then I'm going to pick some of that up. So I got the brown, and then here I'm just going to kind of wiggle it back and forth, bringing that trunk down. So I've got a trunk here, and then give it a little foot. Okay, I'm going to come back in. Clean that brush real good. I get that browns out of it. Come back in. Put another drop of yellow out there. Drop of the green. And we're going to add some more leaves out here. Bring that down. So we've got there. So we got a large tree out there. If you don't have enough green, you want to darken some of this area, just add a little more paint. Go back in, and there. We've got some darker areas towards the bottom where it's more enshadowed. So we got ourselves a nice tree here. I'm going to actually come in with that while I still got some of that green on there and clean up the bottom where the foot of the tree is. So we now have a tree, and we're still keeping in with that heavy padding, you know, type of structure that we have. Now over here, I'm going to put nice glob of the green. This time I'm going to put an evergreen. Now I'm coming this way up, but after that everything is back and forth, back and forth. And we're coming down. Let's get that tree just a little taller. Okay, I like that better. And we're going to come right down till we hit the land right there. Then I'm going to take a touch of yellow, just a small amount. You can either pick it up with your brush or put a dot of it on there, whatever is more comfortable with. And then I'm going to kind of work my way up. And it's mainly on the side where there's light. In fact, I think I got it a little too light down here. I'm going to add some of the darker greens. And as you get to the base, of course, you're in more shadow. In fact, we could even put a second one there. And it's the same thing. Just the back and forth motion. All right, so we've got a couple evergreens here. Let's get that top a little nicer. And we've got a couple of, we got a big old tree here. We can even broaden that out a little bit while I got the dirty brush here, get it a little dark. But like I said, stand back, take a look, see what you need. I don't like the trunk of that tree a little bit. I can come in, widen that base out. I can even come in picking up a drop of the white mixed in with a little bit of that brown. And on this side, we can even add a little highlight on that side of the tree. Now that looks pretty good. And like I said, when this dries, you're gonna actually be able to feel the texture of the paint. So, I'm gonna clean my brush fairly good this time. And we can sit there and say, okay, this looks like a finished painting. Are you happy with it? Great. If not, we can go in, pick up a little bit of the yellows, maybe a touch of the blue with it, give it us a slightly different green. And we can even pull up just by tapping a few bushes here and there. But I like it. It looks good. Maybe under the base of the tree there's some grass. But I like pretty much what I have. So I'm gonna add just a little bit of that grass or something growing over here. And you can even come back and forth, maybe it's a bush or something, put some leaves on it. But I like what I have here. So I'm gonna call this painting finished. Make sure I clean my brush off real good. So I think we're ready to sign this one. I've got my bright red. I've got it enough water in it to make it run almost like ink. And I think I'll sign it, oh, maybe right here. A couple little more. It's not quite as easy to sign it with all that paint on there. Let me get my C a little bigger and my E there. And my little dot. We're all set. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's fairly easy to do. And it gives you a little bit of abstract look to the painting. Have fun painting.